All right, today we're putting on our detective hats. We're about to jump back in time, way back, over 3,000 years ago, to try and uncover the secrets of a society that's long gone. And we're going to do it by looking at the only clues they left behind, their words and their bones. Let's get this investigation started.
So think about this for a second. How on earth do you solve a mystery that's 3,500 years old? I mean, it's the ultimate gold case, right? You've got no witnesses, no surveillance footage, just these faint echoes from a world that has vanished. But that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to piece this thing together, one clue at a time, just like a real investigation.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll set up the mystery itself. Then we'll look at our two big piles of evidence, some ancient hymns and these, well, silent stones. After that, we'll see what happens when we put those clues together. And finally, we'll figure out what this ancient past is really trying to tell us.
Okay, so without a time machine, the only way to understand a world this old is to get really good at following the breadcrumbs they left behind. You know, every single pot, every poem, every grave, it's all a piece of a giant puzzle.
Our whole investigation really comes down to two main kinds of evidence. On one hand, you have the ancient words, the stories, the prayers, the things they believed in and passed down. And on the other hand, you have the silent stones, the hard, physical truth we can get from their bodies, their homes, and the stuff they cared about enough to take to the grave.
Let's open up our first clue file. We're about to basically eavesdrop on conversations and prayers from 3,500 years ago, and they're all recorded in one of the oldest books in the entire world, the Rig Veda.
The Rig Veda is just this incredible collection. We're talking over 1,000 hymns, or sukta, which actually means well said. And these hymns, they're all in praise of various gods and goddesses. It's like a direct window into what these ancient people thought was truly sacred.
Now, here's what's absolutely wild about this. For hundreds and hundreds of years, these hymns weren't even written down. Nope, they were passed from teacher to student, memorized syllable for syllable, and recited with perfect accuracy. It's just an incredible feat of human memory. The whole thing wasn't written on birch bark manuscripts until much, much later.
So what were they actually praying for? I mean, what really mattered to them? Well, their prayers tell us everything. They asked for cattle and horses, big time. They wanted fast chariots to win battles. They prayed for children, and yeah, especially sons. They wanted good land, plenty of water, and of course, victory over their enemies. This isn't just some boring shopping list, you know? It's basically a blueprint of their entire world.
And check out this quote. It just shows you how deep this stuff went. A wise man, a sage, is talking to two rivers. And what does he compare them to? Swift horses and shining cows. These animals were so central to their lives that they became the ultimate way to describe anything powerful and life-giving.
The hymns also give us a pretty clear picture of their society. You had the priests, the Brahmins, who handled all the sacred rituals. Then there were leaders, called rajas. But these weren't kings with big palaces and armies. Nah, they were brave warriors, chosen by the people to lead in battle. The community itself was called a jana or vish. And then you had their opponents, the dasas or dasyus, who spoke different languages and had different beliefs. A very clear us versus them kind of world.
Okay, so we've heard what these people said. Now it's time to look at what they did. Let's close the first clue file and head over to the second one. We're going from the ancient library to the archaeological dig site to see what the silent, solid evidence in the ground can tell us.
So, starting about 3,000 years ago, all across the Indian subcontinent, people started building these amazing structures called megaliths. It literally just means big stones. And these weren't random piles of rocks. They were huge boulders, carefully arranged to mark where people were buried, like silent guardians watching over the dead.
And let me tell you, building one of these was a huge deal. The whole community had to get involved. You had to find the right kind of stone, then break and shape these massive boulders, dig the burial pits, and then somehow haul and place these heavy stones exactly where you wanted them. This was a major statement.
So what do archaeologists find when they look inside these burials? Well, all sorts of cool stuff. Distinctive pottery, this black and red ware, iron tools and weapons like axes and daggers, skeletons of horses along with their equipment, and even fancy ornaments made of stone and gold. Every single object is a clue.
And these objects reveal something absolutely crucial. Not everyone was equal. Far from it. You see, in some graves, you might just find a few clay pots. But then you get to a site called Brahmagiri, and wow! One skeleton was found with 33 gold beads, tons of stone beads, and several copper bangles. That's not a small difference, right? It's clear physical proof of a society that had chiefs and followers, the wealthy and the poor.
And then you get these really special cases, like this one at Inamgaon. Here, a man was buried in a massive clay jar, right in the middle of the courtyard of the biggest house in the entire settlement. The location, the unique way he was buried, this had to be a very important person, probably a chief, whose status they wanted everyone to remember.
Okay, this is that awesome moment in any investigation where you start connecting the dots. It's time to lay our two sets of clues, the ancient words and the silent stones, side by side and see where the stories match up.
And bam! Right away, we find a perfect match. The Rig Veda, as we saw, is full of hymns praising horses and how awesome they are for battle chariots. So what do we find in those megalith burials? The actual skeletons of horses, buried right there with weapons and horse gear. The books and the bones are telling the exact same story. Horses were everywhere.
So, what's the verdict? What do we actually learned here? Well, by piecing together these totally different kinds of evidence, we've basically solved the mystery. We now have a much clearer idea of what this ancient world actually looked like, what they cared about, and what they fought for.
And this is the main takeaway, the really crucial point. History isn't just about reading old books, and it isn't just about digging up old stuff. The real magic happens when you do both. The words give meaning to the objects, and the objects provide physical proof for the words. It's only when you put them together that a lost world really starts to come back to life. Which leaves us with one last question to chew on. Imagine archaeologists 3,000 years from now digging up our world. What would our books and our burials be? What stories would our digital footprints and all the stuff we own tell them about us? Makes you think, doesn't it?